Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Been sweet, if we could have got this win, but we didn't, so pretty much a wash. Can't put my finger on it. I think it's something as a group we have to figure out.
It's huge winning any series in this league. Everybody in this room knows that. But doing it when you sweep a team, that's huge for us. And we know we're going to have our hands full with Florida. We're going to face a first-rounder Friday, a first-rounder Saturday, and then a first-rounder next year, Sunday.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. A brand new week unfolding here from downtown Columbia. Good to be with you. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, Larkin Belton. K-Mac is off tonight. 800-956-7266, the phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter @SportsTalkSC. Plenty to talk about from over the weekend. South Carolina baseball. Great weekend for the Gamecocks. Great weekend for Gene Cone. A lot of positives for South Carolina in beating a team at home the way they did, like they should be the team like Missouri. Took care of their business against a team that is not very good except for, their Saturday pitcher is very, very good. He'll be maybe the number one pick in the 2017 draft, according to the baseball analysts. But otherwise, South Carolina played excellent baseball, clean baseball, error-free baseball, got timely hits, very good pitching, and now the Gamecocks are ranked as high as number 2 in the country, Pro, and Florida is ranked number 1. So you got the dream regular season SEC matchup for this weekend in Columbia. It should be electric. It should be tournament-like atmosphere, number 1 versus number 2, not only in the polls, but also in the SEC East, but reverse, because USC has the 1-game lead over Florida.
Yeah, and of course, a gravy train for South Carolina, because later on, of course, A&M comes into Columbia. But first things first, South Carolina, as I said, Missouri is always a dangerous Friday team because they got some tough pitching, as you said. And South Carolina had to skate Friday, and I think that set the tone for the sweep when they came back with those runs in the late innings. But what can you say about Gene Cone? See, Gene Cone is the type of guy that's bring Florida in here now while my bat has been laying out in the sun.
Yeah, it's too bad that exams have to get in the way of good baseball. Actually, the Missouri pitcher I'm referring to pitched on Saturday.
Yeah,
he's their number. Why he pitched on Saturday, I don't know. That's just the way they have him in their rotation. But nonetheless, the Gamecocks took care of business against him and finished it up nicely yesterday. So while the Gamecocks are doing well, Clemson struggling. Tigers are down in 6th place in the division in the ACC. Pitching has become an issue. 2 starters with ERAs over 5, team staff ERA over 4.3. Something Monty Lee has got to address. Congratulations to the Clemson golf team, winners of the ACC championship. We'll hear from Larry Finley. Chip Weil is leaving Darlington for Daytona. He'll join us later on tonight to talk about his new move, and we'll open up the phone lines for your phone calls. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. A lot to talk about from over the weekend. Join in if you'd like. 800-956-7266. Wide open for your calls in the first hour. First up, first in on the program tonight. Second hour, going to hear from Chip Weil. It was announced today by Daytona, or ISC, which owns Daytona and owns Darlington and other tracks, that they're moving Chip from the presidency of Darlington to the presidency of Daytona International Speedway. They're doing this because they made another move in their front office at Daytona. That was to promote Joey Chitwood III to the position of Chief Operating Officer of ISC. He had been the president of Daytona. So Chip, who's done a marvelous job at Darlington in his 3 years, he came from Daytona, from the marketing side, and put those talents to work at Darlington. And now he'll go back to oversee things at Daytona. They've got a lot of big plans at Daytona, a lot of things going on. He'll tell us about that when he joins us a little later. And Larry Penley, Clemson golf coach, we'll talk to him about another ACC championship for the first time in a while that he's won one. I think this is his 9th ACC championship.
About 10 years?
2002, I believe, was the last time that they won a championship. I think 2002, somewhere back in there. And they have really had a great year and come on strong, ranked number 5 in the national rankings this week. So congratulations to the Tigers. And let's see, from over the weekend, besides USC Clemson baseball, Coastal Carolina looking very good, looking to complete its series today against High Point. It's Big South rival. This was a series that was delayed today because of the weather, so they started on Saturday. High Point won Saturday. Coastal won yesterday, and Coastal is winning now in the 8th 4-0. 4-7-1 for Coastal, 0-4-0 for High Point. So the Chanticleers looking very good. They are in good shape in the Big South to win the Big South regular season title and go on to the tournament, which is going to be in Lexington. Remember, this year, the Big South tournament was supposed to be at Coastal, but since they're leaving the league, they can't host the tournament. So they're going to have the tournament over in Lexington at the Lexington County Baseball Stadium. That should be kind of neat, having it right there. And then Coastal, you know what? They're in great shape. If things go well, they're in great shape to host a regional with their numbers and their rankings right now. So you could have South Carolina and Coastal hosting regionals here in May. But still some work to be done, as you touched on, and I'll follow up. You know, South Carolina riding high right now, but now the Gamecocks knew this was coming. They have the true gauntlet of the SEC approaching. They've got 3 with Florida at home, and, of course, the Gamecocks have been lights out at home, undefeated in SEC play at home, only 1 loss all season at home. Then they go to Kentucky for 3, and Kentucky's good.
Yep.
Then they get Texas A&M at home for 3. And then they finish up at Alabama, all, of course, nationally ranked quality teams. And they've got 12 tests left in the SEC. And even though it's gone great so far in league play, though, you know, you might say, well, losing that series at Georgia is inexcusable, and probably so. That was one that they just, I don't know, they didn't play well. The pitching wasn't all that good. You can understand losing at Vanderbilt. That series loss is understandable. At Georgia, not so much because of the way Georgia has played this year. But now you look at these final 12, 6-6, 6 at home and 6 on the road. And the Gamecocks sitting there at, 13-4 in SEC play. And you want to, or is it 14-4? 14-4 in SEC play, I believe. You know, you 12 to go. You want to think better than 6-6. I mean, you want to think better than that. If they can go, let's say 8-4 over those last 12, that's reasonable. 8-4 against that competition. 8-4, that would put them at 22-8.
Yeah,
in the SEC. I think you would sign up for that. 22-8. That'll get you a first round bye at the SEC tournament and put you in good shape for that. So I think, you know, that's kind of what they should set their sights on at least. Of course, you know, you want to get greedy and win them all. Chad Holbrook will be with us tomorrow night. Normally he's with us on Monday nights when he's on, but I think they're going recruiting tonight. So he'll be with us tomorrow night at 6:30 to talk about the weekend and the week ahead. It'll be like kind of like a football week for both USC and Clemson because there's no games. There's no midweek games because of exams.
Mm-hmm.
So South Carolina doesn't play till Friday. Clemson doesn't play till Saturday. So they got all week to think about it, all week to try and scout their opponents. Florida State coming into Clemson this weekend. Florida State is the leader in the Atlantic Division in the ACC. As I mentioned, Clemson sitting in 6th spot. So the Tigers, they'll have a chance to improve themselves if they can win some games against, obviously, a very good Florida State team. But they got to get better pitching, especially early in games. The Tigers are getting into a bad habit of falling behind early.
And then having to come back.
And having to dig themselves out. But Florida State is 28-11. They've won 5 in a row. After this weekend, they're 13-4 overall. Clemson is now 26-14, 9-12 overall. But the Tigers still have an excellent RPI of 10. Even though their league record's not great at 9-12, they're 26-14 overall. Their RPI is 10. And their strength of schedule has been very good.
Mm-hmm.
Their strength of schedule is very good. So that helps them. I mean, I think if they don't fall apart down the stretch, and they've got these 3 games with Florida State, that will be tough. And then they've got 3 with NC State. That'll be tough. And then their last ACC games are late in May at Notre Dame. So they've got Florida State, NC State, and Notre Dame left in ACC play.
Don't I recall, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, that maybe Clemson was in a similar position and they swept Florida State?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that might be deja vu all over again. They're hoping for this Clemson team this time.
This Clemson team has not been good defensively. Some of the same traits that they had under Jack Leggett are showing up here now under Monty Lee, and he knows. He's going with the hand that was dealt him. He's primarily, except for maybe Seth Beer and a couple of others, he's going with players that he inherited. He has to go out and get his people. But like yesterday, Riley Gillum gave up 4 runs in 1/3 of an inning. So you're down quickly to a good Georgia Tech team, and they battled back and had some chances, but couldn't get it done. But their fielding this season has been not very good. Their fielding percentage, they've committed 57. Well, going into the weekend, they had committed 57 errors. That's a .959 fielding percentage. That's not very good for college. Conversely, the Gamecocks are just playing a great defense. And Chad Holbrook has talked all season long about winning with pitching and winning with defense. And he's getting a bonus with the hitting. I mean, the hitting's has been tremendous here of late. But the Gamecocks' fielding percentage is right at .980. That is incredible at this level of baseball. Going in, well, they didn't commit an error yesterday. So right now, they've only committed 30 errors in 41 games. That's picking it. That is absolutely picking it.
That's saving. That's cutting off rallies. That's saving pitchers, especially what was that bases loaded situation with nobody out, and you got a great play on a ground ball was thrown to home for a force out, and then that set up them escaping out of that inning and winning that game. To me, defense in baseball just saves your pitchers so much and gives them so much confidence to throw it around the plate because they know guys are going to pick it for them.
You look at this Gamecock team, a couple of things that come to mind to remind you of championship Omaha teams. Number 1, the pitching. Number 2, the defense. That's 1A and 1B. Yeah. The timely hitting they're starting to get. The other thing is the camaraderie on this team. On Saturday, Jonah Bride was coming into the interview room to be interviewed for the first time all season. And about, half the team came into the interview room to be there to kind of support him, but pick on him as well. Indication of the type of chemistry they have in that locker room. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back 800-956-7266 talking about things from over the weekend. We'll update some other news notes from today. Recruiting, a lot of recruiting to tell you about. South Carolina, from talking with his coach this afternoon, South Carolina looks in very good shape with Kadeem Gueye, the 7-1 player from Senegal who goes to school in Bradenton, Florida. I think it's just a matter of a couple of days this week before he makes a commitment. And based on what Coach was telling me today, certainly sounds like South Carolina with him. He's coming off a visit to Arizona State. No news on the front for Frank Martin hiring a new assistant coach that I've heard today. I don't know if K-Mac mentioned, if you guys talked about this Friday or not, but I tweeted out Friday based on stories coming out of Columbus and what was happening with Ohio State. It certainly seems like Dave Dickerson is staying at Ohio State because Thad Matta hired Chris Gent to return to the staff, to make the staff whole. And he made the comments to the media up there without addressing Dickerson directly or anybody directly. He just said, you know, we're back on track. We've got things back on the track, and we're going out recruiting this weekend. There was no mention of Dickerson leaving. So my point is, I wouldn't think Dave Dickerson would go recruiting for Ohio State this weekend if he's coming to South Carolina. That's just my assumption. So just to me, it looks like that is going to be the case at this time. Now, Clemson has an opening. Brad Brownell's got to replace Richie Riley. Riley confirmed by Nicholls State today to be the new head coach at Nicholls State. He also coached at Coastal, Eastern Kentucky, and Pikeville, along with Clemson, last 2 years. This will be his first head coaching job. He's only 33. And so he's moving up the chain, up the chain. Another one from Brad Brownell's coaching tree. Moving into a head coaching position.
Nicholls State with Thibodaux, Louisiana, I think, or Thibodaux as they pronounce it down there.
Yeah. Thibodaux. So congratulations to him. From over the weekend, a couple of things I picked up in the USC baseball press box from talking to Ray Tanner on the heels of Will Muschamp's firing of his equipment manager for so many years. Chris Matlock, yeah. And that surprised a lot of people, but Ray said it was just simply a case that he wants his own guy in there. He wants his guy. And Tanner is keeping Matlock on in the athletic department, so good for Chris for that. Everybody likes Chris Matlock. He's just a great guy.
From Lou Holtz, had worked at Notre Dame, been here 16 years.
Terrific guy. Everybody likes him, and that's good that Ray will take care of somebody like that. Ray was also upset about a story in the state over the weekend about state championship games being played at Williams-Brice, and he wanted to clear the record and point out that he said South Carolina does not charge rent for the use of Williams-Brice. They asked the high school league or tell the high school league you have to pay the expenses. And when the high school league doesn't cover those expenses with sponsorship dollars, then the high school league has to come out of pocket. And that's what they're kind of complaining about, is having to come out of pocket. But he says they do not charge them rent. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Yeah, Ray Tanner was he's an easygoing guy, really is. But sometimes the coach in him comes out, and when something angers him, he was a little bit upset about that story because it made it sound like South Carolina was charging rent for the use of the stadium to the high school league, and he was adamant that they do not. And also, the story pointed out what it cost when the high school league has held its championship games in Columbia, and also the 2 times at Clemson, where the cost was zero. Well, as he pointed out, at Clemson, and this is a fact, at Clemson, when they hosted those championship games, the Chamber of Commerce, the city of Clemson, maybe even Pickens County, they all got behind the effort and got the sponsorships to cover the cost. Mm-hmm. I think he told me, if I remember correctly, I think he said, the schools can't pay for the expenses. I think maybe the NCAA might have a issue with that. Oh, yeah, so the high school league has to, and you say, what are the expenses? Well, you got security, and you got people to clean the stadium. You got people that work on the field, people run the scoreboards and the PA, all that stuff. You have to pay for all that stuff. And so what's happened is in Columbia here in recent years, the high school league hasn't had the sponsorship dollars, and that's why there's been a tab for it. He just wanted to make that clear. So I'm just passing that on to kind of clear up what is maybe maybe not clear information. And he just wanted people to know that, the university is not putting the screws to the high school league over this thing. It's just what they have to do. 800-956-7266. That's the number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter @sportstalksc. The website, the ever-popular sportstalksc.com. We encourage you. We invite you. We encourage you to go to the website often to check out stories. If you missed our interview with Deshaun Watson from the other night, it is up on the website in what we call the Sports Talk interview. We have a tab for that, the Sports Talk interview, on the website. You can click on that and it takes you to interviews we have on the show. You can also, of course, listen to the show via the audio feed and also via the video feed at the bottom of the page. And our question of the week is, who wins the SEC East show between USC and Florida? And so far, the voters are saying the Gamecocks. About 67.4% say USC, 32.5% say the Gators. Now, from what I've heard about Florida, seen and heard, they have got pitching. In fact, Chad Holbrook said after the game yesterday, and he wasn't going to get into Florida a whole lot, but he said that Florida has more major league talent on their roster. This Florida team has more potential major league talent than he's seen on any baseball team in his coaching days. That's saying a lot.
And that's saying a lot because Florida has always been loaded, but something is lost in the translation when they try to win in Omaha. It'll be interesting. I think probably people get enamored with the hard throwers they have. Mm-hmm. But then again, some batters will say the harder they throw, if I hit it on the screws, the faster it comes back to them. So it'll be interesting to see how. But let's face it, a lot of hitters would prefer seeing a hard thrower. They kind of like that. The guy that throws the trash, the junk and the hooks and that sort of thing, kind of mesmerize, especially college hitters. So I think they prefer hitting against guys that can kind of throw it up there.
Well, I'm not so sure that there's any hitter in the country more locked in right now than Gene Cone. Over the weekend, he was 10 of 12 at the plate, batted 883, scored I think 6 runs and had 6 RBIs from his leadoff spot. I was there Saturday and Sunday, and almost everything he hit was on the screws, especially yesterday. Second pitch of the game, he hits the ball into the gap. He legs it out for a triple. So that gives him the 27-game school record hitting streak right there on the second pitch of the game in the bottom of the first inning. And then from then on, it was what do you have? A couple of doubles and a couple of singles, I think. He was a homer away from the cycle.
Well, a guy's going good when, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the later innings, runners on first, he takes off a second, and Cone hits it in the vacated spot where the shortstop is covering second base. I mean, so a guy's really dialed in when that happens.
Yeah, they had a couple of good hit and runs yesterday. Good execution by South Carolina. Yeah, I mean, you got to like what is happening with the baseball team right now. It just they have a very positive look about them right now. But I do caution the next 12 games are going to be extreme tests all the way through. And the good feeling of today can certainly – it can change in a hurry because they're going to see tremendous pitching this weekend and in the weeks to come. I mean, Texas A&M obviously has good pitching as well. Kentucky normally swings the bats well, and you're going to go to Kentucky, which has been a tough place for them to win. I mean, obviously the Gamecocks at home are a hard out. Just look at the record. But on the road, they've been susceptible. And all their losses except for one have come on the road. So they lose 2 of 3 at Vandy. They lose 2 of 3 at Georgia. They lose neutral site to Clemson, and on the road to Clemson, they lose neutral site to North Carolina. So away from the friendly confines of Adams Park, they've got to find that edge that they play with at home. 800-956-7266 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. The new baseball polls for the week, as I mentioned, South Carolina moving up, Clemson moving out, and Coastal Carolina also moving up in the polls. As a matter of fact, right now, Coastal Coastal has just defeated High Point 4-0 in Conway. So a very solid win for the Chanticleers. Andrew Beckwith gets the win. He goes to 7-1. Coastal now 31-11 overall. And in conference play, they continue to lead in the Big South with this win this afternoon. That makes Coastal 13-2 in Big South play and an RPI of 11. So very much a factor for a high national seed and also a factor for a home regional. But the baseball polls by the coaches. Now, Florida's number 1 in all the polls. Baseball coaches have A&M number 2, Miami 3, Mississippi State 4, USC 5, Coastal 15 prior to this afternoon's win. D1 baseball. Florida, A&M, Miami, Mississippi State, Florida State, NC State, USC at number 7 in that ranking, and Coastal Carolina at number 15. Baseball writers, Florida, A&M, Mississippi State, Miami, Florida State, pretty much the same group, just mixed them up a little bit in the top 5. They've got Louisville 6, Vandy 7, and USC at number 8. They've got Coastal ranked 22nd. That's baseball writers. Baseball America has Florida 1, A&M 2, Mississippi State 3, Miami 4, Florida State 5, and USC 6, and Coastal Carolina ranked number 19. And collegiate baseball has Florida 1 and USC 2. That's the one poll where you got the matchup of 1 versus 2 there. So it just depends. I don't know which poll is any more definitive than any of the others. The longest time there were only 2, Baseball America and Collegiate Baseball. Yeah, and then you've had all these. But the thing is, the D1 poll, those guys came from Baseball America, and they're highly regarded baseball people. That's why we mentioned them. And then you got the coaches. You got to mention what the coaches are doing, though they probably don't do the voting. And the baseball writers, they probably don't know the least of any of them. But we throw them in there as well. So you go by the one that you feel most comfortable with. But the one that's got South Carolina the highest right now is collegiate baseball at number 2 and Florida number 1. All right, we're going to hit a break. Going to give you the recruiting report from today and the weekend coming up. Time for recruiting knowledge for you on this Monday. A lot of stuff over the weekend and through this afternoon. Let's tell you what we know at this particular point in time. USC an offer to defensive end DeAndre Johnson, 6'3", 235, Miami. And Clemson also likes him, may offer in the near future. He also has offers from Auburn, West Virginia, Iowa State, NC State, FAU, FIU, Toledo, and Appalachian State. He was at USC spring game with his grandmother, has the Gamecocks as one of his favorites, in regular contact with the recruiters, loves the Gamecock scheme, thinks it's a good fit for him. Got a strong relationship with the coaches. Along with USC, he said other favorites at this point, Auburn, Maryland, NC State, but he said Clemson's been working him hard and would make a big move with an offer, and he said he thinks they're going to offer soon. Been talking a lot to the Clemson coaches. He has been to Florida and Miami. He plans to see Auburn, and he wants to bring his parents to see USC this summer. On track, on track to graduate early. Had 53 tackles, 8 sacks in 9 games last season. Defensive back Yusuf Corker, Stockbridge, Georgia, was at USC Friday with his mother, and he came for the purpose of bringing her to see the school and so that he could hang out with the players and the coaches. While she stayed at the hotel overnight, he stayed with the players at 650 Lincoln. He also spent about 30 minutes with Will Muschamp and a lot of time with Travaris Robinson. And he likes the fact that the Gamecocks are taking a lot of defensive backs, and they need defensive backs. He can play safety, corner, and nickel. And he left USC with the Gamecocks back on top. He had been favoring Tennessee after visiting there. Now he's got the Gamecocks on top, and he is still, however, not yet ready to commit. Before leaving, came close to committing, but he still wants to consider other options and visit some other places. But he does feel like he has a better chance of starting at USC than at Tennessee. He's going to come back to USC this summer with a cousin, receiver Wallace Corker, who's coming to USC camp. But he said he is looking at other schools, but he said South Carolina has a pretty good lead. Those other schools he's looking at are Tennessee, Duke, North Carolina, and Vanderbilt. He's been to all of them, and he said that Robinson plans to start him when he has spring practice on May the 2nd. USC recruiter Mike Peterson was by Crestwood High School Friday. Coach Roosevelt Nelson said he looked over 3 of his players, 2017 receiver Julius Pearson, 2018 offensive lineman Christopher Simon, and 2019 athlete Joshua Simon. They have not yet been offered. Clemson offensive line commitment Blake Vinson earned an invite to the opening finals in the combine in Charlotte on Sunday. Clemson offered 2018 offensive lineman Kavez Sherrard of TL Hanna over the weekend. USC had offered him last week. Defensive end Alec Jackson Montgomery has been to USC, Alabama, and Auburn this spring. Tomorrow he's going to Illinois. Last heard from USC about 2 weeks ago, Lance Thompson, who was just checking up on him. He's not heard from Clemson. He does not have any favorites. LSU, Nebraska, Illinois are his most recent offers. He plans to wait to signing day on a decision. And he said USC will get one of his official visits. Ryan Bartow, 247 Sports, was at the Charlotte opening regional Sunday. He talked to many of the top prospects for the 2017 and 2018 classes in the Carolinas. The following ones included USC in the conversation. Defensive back A.J. Terrell of Atlanta, 2018 linebacker Eli Adams of South Point, receiver Jaden Borders of Shelby, athlete Sean Smith of Brunswick, receiver Ortre Smith of Wando, 2018 athlete Darion Kendrick of South Point, offensive lineman T.J. Moore of Charlotte, who continues to favor USC, 2019 offensive lineman Warren McClendon of Brunswick, 2018 receiver DeMarcus Gregory of Burns, defensive end Trey Lawson of North Augusta, and 2018 defensive lineman Josh Belk of Louisville, and 2018 defensive lineman Xavier Thomas of Wilson. Josh Belk is from Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville. And as far as Clemson goes, those players talked about the Tigers extensively. 2018 linebacker Eli Adams of South Point, 2018 defensive end Stephon Wynn Jr. of TL Hanna, athlete Devon Hunter of Chesapeake, Virginia, receiver T. Higgins of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, defensive lineman Darnell Ewell of Norfolk, Virginia, 2018 linebacker Taraja Mitchell of Virginia Beach, 2018 athlete Darion Kendrick of South Point, linebacker Justin Foster of Shelby, 2018 linebacker Dax Holyfield of Shelby, 2018 linebacker Jake Venables of Daniel, Josh Belk of Louisville, and Xavier Thomas of Wilson. Defensive back Grant Delpit of Houston has Clemson in his top 10, along with Alabama, TCU, Miami, LSU, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, Florida, Baylor, and Oklahoma. Basketball news coming up. And before we get back to recruiting, we remind you from the South Carolina Forestry Commission that insects and diseases can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests. Favorite campsites, neighborhoods, state, and national parks help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you're going to burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. All right, now some basketball. 7-1 Kadeem Giai of Bradenton, Florida, met with his coach today. And speaking with the coach this afternoon, Lauren Jackson, he said that he really enjoyed his visit to Arizona State, but he enjoyed South Carolina more. And the coach said, quote, South Carolina is in very, very good position, end quote. They're going to talk some more, and sometime this week he'll have a decision. Perry Clark is handling the recruiting. Coach Jackson was on the phone with Perry Clark today. So this one looks to be in good shape for South Carolina, Kadeem Giai. And that would be a second commitment for the spring signing period for South Carolina. 6'7" Christian Brown of AC Flora, finishing up his freshman year in high school. He's got one big-time offer, came over the weekend from Clemson's Brad Brownell, who saw him perform in Indianapolis. And Brown said he was very excited to get the offer. And he's also getting interest from USC, Wake Forest, Virginia, Tennessee, Yale, Florida State, North Carolina, NC State, Georgia State, and Brown. And he's hoping to get more big-time offers. He's been to USC several times. He's the nephew of former Gamecock football player Mike Davis. Remember him? Hard-nosed running back. He's also been to Clemson for camps and USC for camps. And this summer he wants to visit to both schools some more and talk to the staff some more. A long way for him as far as making a decision. But Clemson first one up and in with the offer. Jerry Meyer of 247 Sports It's reported that Frank Martin has offered 2017 point guard 6'2" C.J. Roberts of North Richland Hills, Texas. 6'4" Zion Williamson, 2018 class from Spartanburg Day, has picked up a bunch of offers from over the weekend. He played particularly well, especially well in the whichever one of the events he was in, and the offers have been pouring in. Texas A&M, Virginia has offered. He's got a bunch more offers that have come into him this weekend. In baseball, Clemson got a commitment over the weekend from 2017 outfielder Ward Hacklin II of Dutch Fork. So he committed to the Tigers on Sunday. Okay. I think that's pretty much everything in recruiting. Pro, do you have anything you want to add?
No, but, when you talked about that ninth grader, I'm hearing Yale's name pop up now and then all of a sudden since they got the guy from Spring Valley.
Yeah. Oh, here's a couple of more notes. Defensive back Letheron Rogers Anderson of Ridgeview was offered by Mercer. NC State, Miami, Virginia, Mississippi State, some of those other offers for Williamson. Georgia Tech, NC State, LSU. This is being reported by Jamie Shaw. And I think now we have caught you up to date on all of our recruiting. So we'll hit the top of the hour and we will return.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Hour number 2, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, Tomas Hayes from downtown Columbia. Coming up, Chip Weil will be here to talk about his move from Little D to Big D, from Darlington to Daytona, as our state loses one of its top professional sports administrators, no doubt about it. Bottom of the hour, Larry Penley at home at Clemson, shining that new ACC championship trophy. Never gets old winning league championships when you can get them. And we'll chat with him about that. And we're going to try and dial up as well a little bit later on tonight, Coach Gary Gilmore from Coastal. Winners 4-0 over a High Point. So they take the big showdown series with their nearest rival in the standings in the Big South. 4-0 the final score this afternoon at Coastal. Now, some other news notes to get to. We got a bunch of stuff that we haven't even touched on. The National Baseball Player of the Week by Collegiate Baseball is Gene Cone from USC, as well as the SEC Player of the Week. You know what he did, 5 for 5 yesterday, 27-game hitting streak, and he's batting .377 on the season. And over the weekend just had a tremendous series against Missouri with 10 hits, 10 of 12 over the weekend. Played good defense, drove in runs, had 6, and he scored 7 runs. And I think I saw him sweeping out the stadium on my way out. So he did everything. Gene Cone, local guy from Spring Valley, sometimes hitters just get dialed in. He is definitely dialed in. So congratulations to him. What else? Oh, this is big. North Carolina today, NCAA charged the Tar Heels with 5 violations, including failing to sufficiently monitor its academic support program for athletes. This new document replaces the previous one because North Carolina had gone back with new information. So the NCAA investigators and law enforcement people, they came back with the new list of charges. So they added the failure to monitor charge to its latest notice of allegations. The NCAA also included a women's basketball advisor tied to improper assistance on research papers. The document used to specify violations is similar to a version sent last May in the multi-year case containing lack of institutional control among 5 potentially top-level charges. But the NCAA removed a charge of school athletes receiving improper benefits through access to problem courses in the formerly named African and Afro-American Studies Department between 2002 and 2011. Tar Heels have 90 days to respond. Jump-starting a case stalled since August.
It seems like they've had 900 days to respond to me.
Yeah, it certainly does. But that's what's on the line. Of course, the most important charge here is the lack of institutional control, which can obviously get you some heavy penalties. We'll be right back. All right, Sports Talk here on a Monday night from downtown Columbia. Corn Blue, the Professor Tom Hayes. We want to remind you to relax on and off the field, on and off the track with Founders Federal Credit Union located in the heart of Gamecock Country. Founders Russell House location is available to help you with all your financial needs. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Well, I'm always proud when a member of our staff here at Sports Talk takes a step up the corporate ladder, knowing that we helped, we contributed to getting a job or improving his job. Many coaches have used our program, of course, to get back into the coaching world. Chip Weil, president of Darlington the last 3 years, heading back to Daytona to take over the presidency of that raceway, and he joins us now. And congratulations. I mean, to us here, it kind of came out of left field, obviously something that's been brewing in the background for some time. How do you feel about this move?
Well, Phil, it's a bittersweet day. You know, certainly it's a huge honor to be named the new president of Daytona International Speedway, especially with the Daytona Rising project just being completed. But, you know, I forged some incredible relationships here in Darlington County and through the racetrack. And so it's been a tough day. You know, I have an intimate relationship with the folks that work at that racetrack, and they mean so much to me and Catherine and our family. So, you know, really excited about the opportunity, but certainly going to be hard to leave an incredible group of men and women who serve at the Darlington Raceway.
Now, of course, Daytona or ISC owns Darlington, so they're your bosses. So you're moving up in the corporate chain of command there. But what did you have? I mean, was this a situation where you could have said no and stayed at Darlington? Did you have to struggle with this, or was this one of those things where they said you're coming and that's that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into specifics, but it is a huge opportunity, you know, to run the biggest sports property that we own. Is certainly something that I am very excited about. You know, it's the largest project that the company's ever taken on with the $400 million Daytona Rising project, and the first real motorsports stadium. Daytona hosts the largest NASCAR race of the year with the Daytona 500. Certainly North America's largest sports car race with the Rolex 24. They have a huge country music concert, 3-day festival. The Country Fire will happen on Memorial Day weekend. So huge opportunity for Catherine and I to really grow my career. But you know, we've done some incredible things at Darlington as a team. You know, certainly not anything I've done, but what our team has been able to accomplish over the last couple of years, I'm really proud of them. And so it was again, it was a bittersweet day, but looking forward to the new challenge. When
did the conversation start about this happening? I guess it had to start when they, you know, began looking at Joey Chitwood III and moving him up into his position, and then, of course, the trickle down effect. Can you tell us when things got to you and when they started mentioning this opportunity?
Yeah, I don't want to get into, you know, those are kind of closed door conversations, Phil, but, you know, Joey's been an incredible leader for our company. He's been certainly the shining star for a number of years. He was the first president of Chicagoland Speedway and helped build that, and then went on to Indianapolis Motor Speedway and ran the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a couple of years, and then ISC got him and brought him to Daytona, and he's managed the biggest project that our company's ever taken on. So for me to be able to follow in his footsteps and still have him in Daytona to help as we gear up for the next generation of events at Daytona is certainly going to be a huge benefit to me and to our team.
Mm-hmm. So what's the transition plan here? How much longer are you at Darlington, and what happens when you leave?
Well, the beauty is we're still working through that, and I can tell you that ISC is very committed to continuing to build on the success that we've created at Darlington. So we haven't found a permanent president for Darlington, so I'm going to continue to fill that role until we do locate one, but we'll balance you know, my time between Dayton and Daytona. They have obviously a lot going on, as do we, as we gear up for the Bojangles Southern 500. In fact, tomorrow, Trevor Bain's announcing or unveiling his paint scheme. We got a big announcement on Friday at Talladega with some of our throwback food offerings. So, I'm going to balance it back and forth and over the next couple of months until we figure out who the next guy is and we can get them very comfortable. The beauty of Darlington is we have an incredible team that's very committed to what we're doing. So it's not like we got to bring somebody and they got to reinvent the wheel. They'll have to just be behind our team and support them and be able to help them be successful. And then that's the beauty of where we are.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn during your time at Darlington that made you ready to take this big step to running Daytona compared to where you were when you got to Darlington?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I've learned so much over the last 3 years. Everything from being a good leader and understanding, the dynamics that exist in any, being a leader within any business. But then everything to, how our track operates, how our company operates. I've been in this business this is my 16th season, but, I've only been on the track operator side now for 4 years. So I learn something new every day. And the great thing about both our team at Darlington and as well Daytona is there are some incredibly talented folks that work every day and put the hard hat on. And, I'm very fortunate to be in this position where, we have talented people that will continue to shine.
So are you immediately going to start splitting your time and your duties between the two tracks? Is this now you're going to start working and handling Daytona stuff too?
I mean, Phil, don't worry. I'm still calling you every Tuesday night at 7:40. So if that's what we're getting to, as long as you'll have me on, I'll keep coming on.
No, we got you.
Yeah, we're going to start next week. So I'll be in Daytona a couple of days next week, and then in Darlington for a couple of days. We're still working through our schedule. It's going to be kind of a work in progress, the balancing act. But we have so many talented people within the organization that are showing their willingness to help. So I think that's encouraging. I'll tell you one of the coolest things about today for me is the response that I've gotten personally from everybody in our industry. I have over 200 text messages that I got to still respond to, and it's just it's been incredible to see the amount of support that both Joey and I have gotten today and through this process, and that really makes me feel really good about where we are.
Well, we're talking about the transition of the character of NASCAR. And we know the history behind Daytona, but your time at Darlington at a unique, smaller venue as far as the population is concerned in Darlington County, but in one of the birthplaces of NASCAR. So describe where NASCAR is now with sharing its identity of trying to expand, but also keeping the historic tracks up to speed as Darlington is.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you that, everybody knows how important Darlington is to our sport and what it means to our sport. And the fact that we've created this new identity where when people come here and when the race comes to town, we celebrate that history. And I think that's really given us a unique identity that only Darlington can celebrate. So, we're always focusing on continuing to build the sport. I mean, if you don't want to build the sport, you don't need to be in it. But we are spending a lot of time focusing on our core fan and making sure that we continue to keep them engaged and part of the process because they're the people that got us here. And we certainly know that and will continue to celebrate them moving forward.
Well, we congratulate you. We're glad we're going to keep you on board moving forward for as long as we can. We'll give you tomorrow night off since we talked to you tonight and catch you next week after Talladega.
Sounds good. Thank you, Phil, for all your support, my man.
Thank you, Chip. Good talking to you. All right. It's going to wear two hats for a little while, but eventually it'll be one hat, and that'll be the president of Daytona International Speedway. That is quite a title to have on your plate, and if he continues to do for them what he's doing, he's going to do just fine. Hit a break. We'll be right back. Thanks again to Chip Weil for joining us here on the Sports Talk tonight, and good luck to him in the future, though, like you said, he's going to be around Darlington for some time to come. As we continue Sports Talk presented by the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education, find out how you can get help paying for college at one of 42 events this month. Go to sccango.org. Larry Penley coming up at the bottom of the hour, Clemson golf coach. After winning the ACC championship over the weekend, the Tigers now ranked number 5 by Golf Week behind Texas, Illinois, Georgia, and Stanford, and Clemson is at number 5. And also, let me check this out because this evening the NCAA was announcing the field for the NCAA women's golf tournament, and the Clemson women are in. The Clemson women received a bid to the tournament. Second time the program has received a bid in 3 years. It's a relatively new program. They're going to play at Shoal Creek in Birmingham. Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, will serve as the host. And Tigers are seated 12th in the field of 18. And let's see if we have any other information here. That's it. It's all about the Clemson team. So we know the Clemson women are in. And I haven't seen anything else yet. Well, here we go. The USC women are in as well for the 18th straight time. They'll go to Baton Rouge May 5 through 7. USC number 20 ranked, and USC will be the number 6 seed in their regional. Duke is the top seed for that regional. And I believe it's the top, top 8 teams from each regional, I think, advance to the championship round of the tournament. So the Baton Rouge regional includes Duke, Florida, Arizona State, Washington, Oregon, South Carolina. Those are your top 6. Okay? So congratulations to all those folks. Also in golf, while we're on the subject, excuse me, Southern Conference golf tournament going on, and for the first time in school history, Wofford has the 36-hole lead. They're playing in Pinehurst. Wofford at 3 under 285 in today's round, a shot ahead of East Tennessee State. Jeremy Grab 5 under for the tournament, and he leads the medalist race by a single stroke. Wofford is even par through 36 holes. 5 shots up on East Tennessee State. No, I take that back. They were 5 shots better today than East Tennessee State, but overall, they have a 1-shot lead on the Buccaneers. Let's see. Wofford is at even. East Tennessee's +1. Greensboro is +5. Furman is right there at +7. So they'll wrap this up tomorrow. We'll see who wins that particular championship. Speaking of Wofford today named Jimmy Garrity its new women's basketball coach. He comes to Wofford after 3 years at Anderson, where he had a great run as Anderson's coach, taking Anderson to the Division II tournament twice, and in 2015 reached the Sweet 16. All right, so congratulations to him. Back in a moment. Now the Hornets are in action tonight in Charlotte, trying to even their series with Miami. Right now, Miami's up 22-13. Late in the first quarter, Seas and Hawks tomorrow night, 2-2 after a courageous victory by the Celtics in overtime last night, showing the Celtic pride, heart, tradition, never dying on the Garden floor.
No, you just head back to the ATL.
Yeah, we'll see.
Show me what you got.
Congratulations to the Clemson golf team as they win another ACC championship over the weekend at the Old North State Club in New London, North Carolina. We welcome in Tiger golf coach Larry Penley to Sports Talk. Clemson's 10th ACC championship, 9th under the, just say the 33-year-old Larry Penley or the 33-year head coach. Which one is it?
I wish it was the first and not the latter.
You're only getting better, man. You're only getting better.
Oh my heavens! Yeah, tell my wife that, Phil.
Well, congratulations. It never gets old winning championships, does it?
No, this one was fun. I mean, it'd been 12 years. 2004, and when we won it in 2004, that was the year after we'd won the national championship. And I hate to say, I probably took this one for granted, or took that one for granted a little bit, and it was kind of a ho-hum deal. And then you get a 12-year lull. Let me tell you something. You will appreciate it when you win it again. And I do really, really thank my players and Coach Bird for doing a tremendous job. This one was special. Yeah.
Why did it come together for you, not just this weekend, but really your entire year? You're ranked 5th in the country now, and it's just been a great year for you.
Well, I don't know. It just started clicking, and I saw bits and pieces of it in the fall. We had one bad tournament, and that was the Dick's Sporting Goods Challenge at the Golf Club of Tennessee in late September, and we just played poorly and finished next to last. But after that, I really saw a different golf team. And about probably mid-March, we had a lineup change. Bryson Nimmer, a true freshman from Bluffton, got in the lineup, and my goodness, man, it really started clicking, and everybody started playing better, and confidence levels grew, and the next thing you know, we were winning tournaments. So it's been a lot of fun. Well,
that's where coaching comes in. Coaches have to know when to make changes and when to push the button and all that kind of stuff. So what did you see in the young Nimmer, the son of a former Tiger player? What did you see at that point to say, hey, I got to get him there and shake this thing up a little bit?
Well, he had been doing a tremendous job. I mean, he does everything right. He's a great student. He works his tail off. He's a very coachable kid. You can tell him anything. He takes it to heart. Coach Bird does a phenomenal job with him. But it was almost by default. We had one of our best players, if not our best player, Cody Prevost, quit our team about mid-March, and he had been a mainstay in our top 5 for 3.5 years. So Bryson was next in line, so it's next man step up kind of deal, and boy, did he embrace the challenge. I mean, once he got in there, he literally almost won 2 tournaments right out of the gate.
Well,
and he did such a good job at the finals or at the ACC championship.
Yeah, this weekend as a team, you guys shot 25 scores ever for you in ACC tournament play. Was there anything? And this is a course y'all play pretty much every year for the championship. So. Was there anything in particular this time, any particular part of the course or any particular part of a round that kind of got things going for you in a big way?
Well, we got off to a great start. We had perfect conditions the first day. When I'm out there with the team during the practice round, it was firm, it was fast. The greens were absolutely rock hard. The fairways were rock hard. They were just like we are in the upstate. They haven't had any rain. And I knew that I really felt like the scores were going to be maybe a little higher than normal. And then we get a really good soaking rain from about 4 o'clock to about 11 o'clock Friday morning before we play. And you put a bunch of good players out on a golf course that's soft. oh, they're going to light it up. And we did. We got off to a great start. No wind. Wind did not blow. And we shoot 15 under par, and I think the precedent really then had been set. So it was up to everybody else to try to catch us.
Yeah, and they couldn't, and you rolled on. So the men's tournament selection, is that next Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
What's your feeling on where you guys will go and what your seed will be?
I don't know. We don't know yet what the golf stat ranking is. I've seen the Golf Week ranking, and they kind of do a sort of a combo of the two, hopefully. I know we jumped up in Golf Week. We went from 10 to 5. I don't think we'll move that much in golf stat. I think golf stat we were 11 or 12. We might get into the top 10, but I don't know if we'll get high enough to get a 1 seed. We're probably going to be a high 2 seed, and there's no telling where they'll send us after that.
Yeah. All right. This year, you had your first invitational tournament. By all accounts, it was a smashing success. Are you going to do it again next year?
Absolutely. The Cliffs Falls community is totally committed to doing whatever it takes to have the best, collegiate regular season tournament in the country. They did a phenomenal job this year. I mean, the golf course is a true championship caliber track.
Mm-hmm.
It was in perfect shape. We're actually going to go a week later next year. We're actually going to go right on top of the Masters, which I'm getting a lot of head turns over it, but our field is going to be great. And we're just going to keep moving forward. I mean, it's amazing what the Cliffs community did. We had over 100 volunteers. They showed up in droves. We had a ton of Clemson people out there. It was really a lot of fun, and our team played very well, which always helps. But it's the Clemson Invitational is going to be great.
Who's in the field next year?
Well, the invitations just went out, and right now we have us, Georgia Tech, Louisville, somebody else. Winthrop. I took the top 5 teams from last year, which was Winthrop, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Elon.
Okay.
So those teams are coming, and then we're going to expand from 12 teams to 14 teams.
Okay.
Now, the Naval Academy, it was a cool deal what they did. I've been good friends with Pat, their coach, for a long time, and they were on spring break, and we invited them to come at our Saturday night dinner with the members at the club. They showed up in dress blues.
Wow.
Which is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And then they all stood up together and came over to our table and thanked Coach Bird and I for the invitation. They earned an invitation back just for doing that. They got a standing ovation from the members at the Cliffs community, and it was a very special deal. So I know Navy's coming back, so it'll be fun.
Going to invite the Gamecocks?
If they want to come, we'd love to have them. Absolutely. I have yet to send out the invites, but obviously Coach Bill McDonald and the Gamecocks are welcome. We'd love to have them back. They are moving their ACC championship dates on top of ours next year, so they won't be going a week earlier. They're going to be going the same time we are. If it doesn't hit the Hootie, and that was our problem this year, we had to get off those dates.
Yeah.
We had the Hootie. We had Texas A&M has a huge tournament that weekend. Vanderbilt has a huge tournament that weekend. Augusta State, which is usually the tournament we play in that weekend, was obviously that weekend. And we just needed to move. If we were going to improve our tournament field and get more national teams, yeah, we needed to move. So we're going to go a week later.
All right. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the week getting ready for the NCAA tournament announcement and then preparing for the tournament. And we'll be talking to you again as you head into NCAA play.
Bill, I always appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Coach Larry Penley. And he wants the Gamecocks to come play in the Clemson Invitational. And that would be, we've been talking about that for years. So invite them, accept it, and let's get it done. Be right back. Thanks again to Larry Penley for joining us here on Sports Talk. What a great guy, a great coach. What a career he's had. And, yeah, he says Gamecocks are welcome to come up to the Clemson Invitational. So it'd be kind of neat if he could get them up there for that. And we'll see what happens. The dates are being worked out to kind of clear the calendar to get those teams there. So going up against the Masters, yeah, that might be kind of dicey.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be kind of dicey. But for those people who love college golf and love those teams, they'll be out there watching them, and maybe they'll finish up in time for you to go catch the final hours of those rounds of the Masters. All right, 800-956-7266, the number if you want on board. Coastal Carolina beat High Point today 4-0, and so they extend their lead in the Big South. I wanted to mention this as well. Congratulations to these folks for being selected for induction into the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association Hall of Fame. They'll be inducted at a banquet July 24th in Charleston. So going into the Hall of Fame, Billy Ammons, football coach and AD for 26 years at Camden High School. What a career he had. Played college football and a quarterback at?
You got me.
Clemson. Mike.
When?
Way back. Way back. Mike Anthony, football coach, athletic director, Carolina High, Southside High, Batesburg, Leesville, Easley, and Union. Obviously couldn't keep a job. No, obviously he was in demand, won a bunch of state championships. Now he's in the state house. Man, I congratulated him and said, congratulations on the hall. Now fix the roads. Fix the roads.
They want to fix the roads. They keep arguing about the
roads.
They keep arguing about
It's funny how Union, where he's a representative up there in Union, they have these beautiful 4-6 lane, nicely paved roads up there.
I think that was strong.
I thought that was Edgefield.
Huh?
They got all the good roads.
Oh no, Union too.
Dennis Botts, boy, what a great coach. Calhoun Falls and Abbeville. This guy had a voice that would break your knees. It was so deep and that kind of mapley, you know what I'm talking about, southern deep voice. Remember the television commercial he was on? Deeper than Fang Mitchell's voice. I think so. I love Coach Botts. Great football coach. Amanda Holder at Seneca High School, 35 years, girls basketball coach and athletic director. Jim Matos, boys basketball coach, track coach, athletic director at Berea for 28 years. And Frank Riddle Hoover, boys soccer coach at Eastside, Dorman, Polk County, North Carolina, and Gaffney for 36 years. Congratulations to all those folks deserving the honor of going into the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association Hall of Fame this summer. I'm glad to pass that news along to you. Let's see here. What else do I want to mention? Josh Norman out of Greenwood, formerly of the Panthers. Story says he never wanted to leave the Panthers. Of course, you know, he got $75 million deal from the Redskins after he did leave after the Panthers rescinded the franchise tag. But Joe Person from the Observer and Mike Jones of the Washington Post said that Norman tried to sign his offer, his franchise tender, the Panthers, they call it the tag. He tried to sign his tag even after the Panthers pulled it, but the paperwork with the league was already filed.
Mm-hmm.
Joe wrote, when Norman was blindsided last Wednesday by the news, he contacted team officials saying he was finally ready to sign it, according to a league source with knowledge of the situation, but it was too late. The Panthers front office had already notified the league it was rescinding the tag. But now
they
I don't know the rule. Exactly.
Rescinding.
Exactly. Yeah. They just didn't want him for that money.
Well,
bottom line, they wanted him gone and did not want to pay.
Boy, that is
that kind of money.
Ooh, boy, You know, a good corner, physical, can get in the guy's head. They don't come a dime a dozen. I mean, these are not offensive guards we're talking about. And the way they throw the football around in the NFL now. And let's face it, on his side, he's not going to have that pass rush he had. He's not going to have Luke Kuechly in the middle. So he's going to get tested being in Washington. But $50 million guaranteed, the way we know about concussions in football now, you can't begrudge him for signing that
Bashaud
contract.
Breeland in Washington too?
I think
Isn't he the other corner? So you'd have a graduate of Fort Dorchester on one side and a graduate of Greenwood playing corner in D.C. That's pretty cool for our state. Back in a moment. All right, tomorrow night here on Sports Talk, be sure to join us with Chad Holbrook coming on board at 6:30 and talk about a big weekend in the past and a big weekend in the future for his team. And, you know, you got to give Holbrook and the staff a lot of credit for putting this team together. Formula. He knew after last season, after failing to make the tournament, that they needed some immediate help offensively. You know, last year the pitching wasn't all that bad, but the offense was. And he went out to the junior college ranks and brought in some hitters. Some of his younger guys who'd struggled grew up. He got himself 2 dependable catchers, something they lacked last year. He shored up the defense. So kudos to that coaching staff. And think about this. Now, you don't know what's going to happen after this year draft-wise. They're going to lose some players. Obviously, all the great teams do. And some of these junior college guys, are they going to be one and done, or are they going to come back for another year? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? But pitching-wise, depending, you know, if guys come back who are, you know, now Webb can leave after this year, but he's draft eligible. But Hill will be back. Let's say things fall into place. They could have a pitching staff next year of the current 3 starters, and then you throw in Will Crow coming back off of his injury, and the Morris kid coming back off of his injury. You're talking, those are 5 starting pitchers for the 3 weekend spots. I mean, they are going to be loaded next year. So what I'm saying is this year has been great, could be even greater, and they should be right there next year when you're talking about Gamecock baseball. A couple of other things to mention. Excuse me. Yeah, the beginning of a springtime head cold. It's only going to get worse for the next few days, so bear with me. Everett Sullivan, the former Hillcrest star, been an assistant at Georgia State, named today the new head coach at Lenoir-Rhyne.
Okay.
And how about this? Clay Travis reported that Brad Nessler is going to leave ESPN to do NFL for CBS until he takes over on the SEC games for Vern Lundquist. And from ESPN News, the Sports Business Daily reports that Mike Tirico is leaving ESPN to go to NBC to share Thursday night football broadcasts.
In other words, if you want to keep that big salary you have, we're kind of cutting corners at ESPN.
Really? Are these guys just moving to what they think are better, more stable jobs? Are they concerned about the future of ESPN, which is hemorrhaging money and losing in ratings because of some stupid programming decisions they make?
But I'll tell you what, Nessa, that's a good gig if you get that SEC on CBS gig.
All right. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.